Evan from HIMedia here, and I have a quick question for you. Are video games art? Well, I certainly think so, and to answer a question from my buddy Sean, right here, I think movies are treated too harshly in some respects. Sometimes politics gets into it, politics of an actor or actress gets into it. But I do think that sometimes movies are worth the criticism, because people do feel emotionally attached to these things, but you shouldn't be sending death threats to actors and actresses for just for being part of something that you don't feel is adequate enough. That being said, I feel like sometimes that anger is misplaced. You're angry at the actors and actresses when you should be angry at the writers. See Ghostbusters. Or you're angry at the writers when you should be angry at the cinematographers. Um, don't have a good example for that one, but I digress. But the one thing that movies do have that you pointed out in your video is that you questioned whether or not movies are considered art. Well, they are. There is an entire lattice of appreciation and awards and everything that people can have for everything from A-list movies to B, C, D, E, all the way down to home movies. You can make a movie and try and get it out there and, and apply to a film festival. And if you win, and if it's good enough and you win, like that could be the start of your career. Look at Kevin Smith. But video games kind of have that, but they don't. I think they're art because I think games like, Legend of Zelda, insert like maybe Breath of the Wild is considered a visual marvel and is mechanically deep, and I think is considered a great piece of art. Same thing with Skyrim. Skyrim is another example of great storytelling. An even better example of storytelling is something like The Witcher, which is just fundamentally deep and complex in writing and sound. Destiny is another example. Destiny 1 sound design is second to none. It's gorgeous music, and then you have something like maybe Dead Cells or even Firewatch, which the visual design there is borderline on picturesque and artistic. These like video games are culminations of all different types of art, and they're important. The problem is unlike the movie industry, which has allocated resources towards artsy and maybe not profitable ventures, but important ventures for the art forms, and the people who work within those industries find value in those types of art. The games industry is different. It's purely profit driven. Like any of the interesting stuff that's going on is being done in the indie space, and in the indie space there's not a lot of capital, so you're not able to get the visually you have to sacrifice something. Usually it's visuals. They usually go for a more spritey, more simple art design that's not fully fleshed and featured, but there's certain types of stories you're not able to tell with that type of design, even though some of the best indie and most artistic and most powerful games I've ever played have been indie games. And big AAA publishers who make games that like FIFA, Madden, Skyrim, GTA, Call of Duty, they don't want to spend money on these artsy fartsy games, and when they do, it's usually with a studio that has a record track history of doing interesting things. People like Warner Brothers, if somebody comes to them with a good pitch for a movie, they'll throw you a little bit of money at it on a lark just to see what happens. You don't get that with with the game industry. The as far as this artistic medium, there isn't as much support behind it with big money. So the question is, I want to ask you, to you, Sean, and the viewers listening, what do you consider games in terms of like art? Are video games, art? Let me know in the comments. And Sean, I look forward to hearing your question on Sunday.
Poggers.